want to talk about the viral Disney World video that I put up with my wife that is no longer out there on TikTok. And full disclosure on this one, the reason that that video is no longer able to be viewed is because there were so many anti-bullying violations that TikTok, it seems that they just removed the video.
Hey, good morning, Freeman. You have the unfortunate situation that this video landed in my lap this morning, but I'm gonna go a little bit deeper on here because I don't think that that video should have ever been made in the first place, and I'm gonna break down the reasons why. Because it's not so much of like there's a bunch of like reports that's happening to the video. I just think for somebody who's able to speak customer, I think you brought it upon yourself. And I think right now, when it comes to Disney, there's this huge like wave of bad customers that seems to be uh, very, very present. Um, Especially when we talk about the theme parks and we talk about Disney. But there was something that you said that I think it played your hand, and I'll explain what you said. We'll go over everything that happened.
I said rope dropping, but I guess the term is actually doing early entry into the park. So we had paid money to Disney World to stay on property because they sold us a perk that said if you pay to stay on the property, you get into the park early before it actually opens.
Well, that's cap. That's 100% cap because you didn't pay extra for a perk. You stayed at the resort that gave you early access into the park. So it's not being mad that, hey, if I stayed at the park, I'm going to get immediate access to all the attractions. That's not what they said. It's early access into the park. You're kind of getting the first drop on everybody else. That wasn't a perk that was sold. You intentionally went to the Disney park because of this feature. Um, and I get where you're coming from as like, but if I did this, I demand this. And that's kind of like where this video and the original video is coming from. It's coming from a fact that I paid for this. I expect this, but you got everything that you paid for. So I guess I'm a little bit lost as to the anger. But I think I understand that what you're trying to present is not what really happened. And I know that that's for a fact because something that you said, but we're going to get to that.
So I go to customer service, and as I said in the last video, the lady immediately did not want to talk to us. I don't know if she was having a bad day. I don't know I don't know what was going on, but she clearly just did not want to be there. That's the vibe that we got. So I explained calmly and happily, really, just what happened to the situation. I just want an explanation.
Ooh, that statement just, it's like heartburn. I'm gonna tell you a little secret, Freeman, and I think a lot of people don't realize when they say this that they've played their hand really, really early. And as soon as I heard it, it was almost like this whole story's cap. But there's two things that you did wrong. But I think the red flag is how you said that you explained your situation calmly and nicely to the cast member. And if that needed to be said, it wasn't done. And that's exactly what had happened. Am I right? Because no, it's not the cast member having a bad day. You were having a bad day. And now you're projecting that as a fact. Oh, the cast member was having a bad day. Oh, but I explained to her calmly, and I was so polite that, oh yeah, the ride, we couldn't ride the ride. You didn't. You yelled at this cast member. You yelled at this cast member, and because they don't have the ability to fight back, you immediately came to TikTok and played victim. And now we're in this victim stage that I'm the customer. I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I the guy that's being punished for all these other things? I'm not the one who did it. It's Disney, the evil corporation Disney, and now we're playing victim to a cast member that can't even fight back. Do you see how this is playing out, Freeman? It's not looking well for you, buddy.
Hey, we got here, we couldn't get in line, we went and rode something else, we come back, they're still telling us we can't get in line. Can you explain why? And she says, well, there's not a line right now. Sometimes people form what we would call an unofficial line, but it's not an actual line.
It's true, because sometimes when that ride closes down, a lot of people know, and the trick is that, hey, we want to try to get the jump on the ride before it opens, and if we're already in the line, when they open the line, then we can already get in. This happens not just at Disney, but almost every theme park in existence. If something comes down, then people will wait in the front until they can go inside. This is not an isolated incident to just Disney. I've seen it with Hagrid's. I've seen it with Velocicoaster. I've seen it with a lot of different attractions that people will wait outside. Your failure is that you were like, wow, can I just wait in line? No new recruits because the ride was still closed. Of course it's going to happen. But you didn't. You came to the cast member, you said, I want an explanation. I want an explanation of what happened because I have a privilege of being a customer. So, because of my privilege, I need you to give me, the entitled customer, an explanation for something that has happened that is beyond my control. Do you see how this is playing out, Freeman?
Just continues to double down and say there's not an actual line here that's formed, and your ticket says that you're not guaranteed to be able to ride the rides anyway. So I don't like the attitude that she's giving me.
We have a very serious customer problem where people are going to these parks, they're doing things, and I've seen this happen right after the Panini, where we have expected a level of customer service that will never be seen again. Because during the shutdown, sure, we want people, we wanted people to work. We want people to do their jobs. So in order to do so, customers kind of gave a pass, right? So whenever they got service, they're like, okay, I'll tip you 20%. I'm going to tip you 25%. I'm going to tip you 30%. But I'm not going to change my own behavior because my behavior is still going to be rude and combative and angry. And now we're in the same situation where we're still kind of giving customer service rude and angry situations. When you're saying, oh, I didn't like her attitude when she's giving you the answer, I already know how this conversation is gone. I know how this conversation plays out. You have already played your hand saying that you are a rude customer. You already played your hand in saying that you are a combative customer. And you have already played your hand saying, I didn't like the rules that were set forth. Therefore, I, as a consumer, am going to change the way this is seen in my eyes. I will change this company from the inside out. Because I feel I'm entitled to these things. It's not looking right for you, sir.
So that's whenever I asked to speak to her supervisor, simply because of the attitude that she's giving me.
There it is. I didn't like your answer. Your answer was not suitable for me, a paying customer. So I want to speak to your supervisor. I want to talk to them because your answer was not satisfactory to me. And because I'm having a bad day, I'm projecting that onto you. And therefore, I am going to make sure that what I demand happens. So you escalated on her as you were already escalated. I want to speak to your supervisor. And here we are. Karen in the wild. Let's go.
And what the point of what I was trying to make is that whenever people are spending thousands of dollars extra by staying on the property, by buying Genie Plus, Disney needs to accommodate those people because you're selling them those perks.
No. That's an awful way of thinking about it. Awful way to think about it. Awful way to think about it. You have put yourself in a situation where you're saying, if I pay X amount of money, I deserve this level of accommodation. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on a product. I deserve this to happen to me. I paid this much money. I deserve this to happen to me. And if that's the mindset, not just with Disney, but for all things, you're a customer. Because it doesn't work that way. Just because you dropped and spend this much money doesn't mean that you deserve the world and people bend to your knee. That's not how anything works. But you have a privilege, and then you decide, hey, I just simply want to ride the ride, when you could have probably just waited and chilled out, but you didn't. You came into Disney, you were mad, you screamed at some cast members, you screamed at their supervisor, and you demanded the fact that, hey, if I pay this much money, I demand and I expect Disney to do everything for me and bend to my knee. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. And this isn't a Disney problem. I think across the board we have a customer problem where people want and expect a certain level of service, but they're not going to get that level of service because their behaviors never change. They expect the customer service to change, but not for us. So if I'm working customer service and you're coming at me rude, you're going to get that level that you're giving to me. Does that make sense? I don't think people really truly understand that. And so when they feel slighted and they feel mad and they feel, oh, well, they need to do this for me and they need to do this for me, you're putting that employee at a very, very awful predicament. And it's not just because you spent all this much money that you deserve this, because you don't. But I'm pretty sure that if you even met that cast member halfway, or at least, been what you said you were, was nice, they probably would have accommodated. But I already can see that as this video progressed, you weren't. You did everything but that. Everybody goes to Disney, and everybody has different levels of pay that they can afford when they go to the parks. Your fatal flaw in this argument is that because you paid more than these people, that you deserve a higher tier and a higher expectation of what the park could do. But there's families that probably have to spend money and pay at the Magic Castle and stay there because they don't have much. They only have enough for this vacation. And they are in the same bucket as you are. They're still in the same parks as you are. But because you paid thousands and thousands of dollars, you expect your vacation to be better than theirs. And that's an awful way of thinking about it. That's an awful customer. You need to rethink how you customer. That's my 2 cents. What do you guys think about this whole video?